billions and billions of years ago.
You see, I was trying to do the Carl Sagan thing because there was a planet on the screen. You know, Cosmos. Honestly, I think it sounded less like Carl Sagan and more like Barney the dinosaur, though. You ever read those whacked-out interviews of the guy who played Barney who was in the suit? That guy is a very strange man. He said the night before he went to audition as Barney, he had a dream where he saw Barney passed out on the side of the road, and he resuscitated him with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And elsewhere in the interview, it kind of sounded like he did something to the other guy who was in the running to audition as Barney. I mean, obviously he didn't, but he phrased it in a way like, there was another guy who wanted to be Barney, but things didn't work out with him. And after the show ended, he took on a second career as a tantric sex guru, in his words. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, so here's Darius' twin. That parallax effect looks kinda crappy, huh? I guess he couldn't always match what the Sega Genesis was doing. So where did they even come up with a name so odd as Darius Twin? Well, the twin part is obvious, as you might have saw on that incredibly minimalistic title screen at the start of the game. This game has co-op, so that's where the twin comes from. All good things come in pairs, as you know. And with Darius, maybe they were fans of Darius the First of Persia, and they wanted to make a video game celebrating his life and times, but something got lost in translation between the Japanese and the English, and it turned into this somehow. Yeah, that's probably it. So relative to other shmups, this one's a bit easier. Compared to that one Gradius game for NES where it has the big volcano that I could never get past. What the hell was that even about? You see, the thing is, if I couldn't get past that volcano, I know there's other people out there who couldn't as well. Which means there's somebody out there who paid probably $70 for a new NES game and they couldn't get past the first 90 seconds of the game. Poor guy. Here we got the first boss. Fish are definitely a theme of the Darius series. I believe Saturn Darius had a fish in it as well. A real big fish, if you will. Down he goes. Maybe if he lands close enough to the shoreline, McDonald's can scoop him up and cook him up into some fish McBites. This part looks a bit Star Fox 64-esque. Level selection in space. But anyway, yeah, you remember McDonald's Fish McBites? That temporary menu item they had in 2013? It's been 10 years for God's sakes, and they still ring true in my memory. Oh, the pains of discontinued consumer products, whether it be Fish McBites or the saucy chicken nuggets they had at Wendy's, or the Sega Dreamcast. All the good stuff is already behind us in life. Oh, woe. So anyway, I like the music in this level. I'll stop talking for a couple seconds here so you can hear it better. Pretty neat, huh? You know, I'm kind of surprised at how fast the scenery is moving in the background, by the way, because that's definitely not something the SNES was known for. I mean, I'm sure you've seen those hardware comparisons of the SNES and the Genesis, and the SNES had every advantage except the clock speed. The clock speed was actually quite poor compared to the Genesis, and as a result, things often moved very slowly. No one in real life appreciates all of my encyclopedia-level gaming knowledge like this. I wish I knew more people in the real world who would appreciate it when I tell them things like the reason Turok on N64 had so much fog was because they were trying to hide the poor draw distance that was common with N64 games. I gotta get out there. I gotta get on out in the world. These guys absorb lots of hits, weirdly. I don't know what that's about. You'd think because they were smaller enemies, it would be the opposite. Okay, here comes boss number 2. Eventually. Hello? Okay, here we go. Emperor Fossil and Queen Fossil. And I have no lives left, by the way. And there's one-hit kills when you don't have a shield, so we're really just on a wing and a prayer here, aren't we? You see, they've got the Cosmo and Wanda color scheme going on here. Ah, shit. So that's the thing about Darius Twin, is there's no continues, by the way. But like always, thanks to the magic of video editing, this can be remedied very quickly. See, look at that, right back where we were. If it were Game Grumps doing this, they'd probably just start the whole thing over from scratch and make you watch it. But not me. So anyway, the key here is to hit the one that currently has its mouth open. And yeah, it switches. And then they each have a different pattern of lasers that they do as well. The pink one has lots of small lasers, while the green one has one giant laser. As the memesters from 2006 would say.
I'm a firing my laser!
Jesus, tap dancing Christ, that's just never gonna get old, is it? There's a part of me that just mentally never left 2006. I mean, I guess in some respects 2006 was one of the most important years of my life, even though I would have been a kid, because that was the year when I started becoming a part of the internet and internet culture and what have you. I mean, I'd been on the internet plenty of times before then, but 2006 was the year when my parents finally got decent and real internet instead of just crappy old dial-up, and suddenly the world was my oyster, and things were never the same ever since. I miss those days, being so young and free. Okay, what do we got here? I guess when it comes to SNES shoot-em-ups, levels in this style that were kind of inside the spaceship were definitely in vogue. I know Axley had a level like this, and there was some different shmup that did this as well. I think Gary's on the Genesis might have done something like that as well. If you guys have ever watched GameSack, the one guy from GameSack has an entertaining story about Gary's where he and his girlfriend, they were high schoolers at the time, were at the game rental store, and for some reason he didn't want to go into the store to rent Gary's, so he made his girlfriend do it, and it was like this really awkward experience because, girls didn't play games back then, or so they said, and she had no idea what Gary's was, and I think the clerk was kind of confused as to why she was asking for it as well, and just a horribly awkward experience, and all for no reason. Why couldn't you just rent Gary's yourself, you silly old fool? There goes a goose. I don't know if that was audible. Scared the crap out of me. I was talking and then I just heard a noise behind me. Thought maybe the neighbors were screaming at each other or something. That does happen. Look, kids, it's Funky Winkerbean. Over here, Funky. I don't know, I'm just quoting stuff at this point. That was a Simpsons thing where they were at a parade, but the parade couldn't afford any of the cool cartoon characters, so they just had like old and forgotten ones like Funky Winkerbean. You know, I thought I was gonna be funny once, and I was gonna go into the comment section of some news story about Funky Winkerbean, and I was gonna type in over here, Funky, but it turns out I wasn't the only one who had that idea. The world's a big place, you see, and for every original idea you've ever had, there's at least 10 other people who've also thought of that. And so naturally, when I got to the comment section, it was just filled with a bunch of other people who had already typed out, "Over here, Funky." You guys even know what I'm talking about? Me and my rants. All this cartoon obscura, whether it be Funky Winkerbean or Cheezosaurus Rex, you just never know. Here's a cool looking boss. It looks a bit H.R. Geiger-esque. Get a good look at it, 'cause I've only got one life left and I don't know the attack pattern.